You are now listening to the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello. Welcome back. We are super lucky now after taking a break on interviews to have two very close together. So today I am extremely lucky to be joined by a filmmaker that I have a million questions for, Kyle Weingart from Montana, co-founder of 99 Productions. Kyle, thank you so much for making time for this.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. I did that whole thing without mentioning Zach once. So I just want you to say
You
that.
did a good job.
Yeah,
I was
thank
listening
you.
for it.
In my head, I was like, Zach, no, Kyle.
Yeah.
Man, so you have a movie that was released in 2025 that
hmm
we're going to kind of focus around the discussion around today called Cuisine de l'Apocalypse. But we're going to open this up a little bit and kind of invite you in as a co-host of They Live by Film for the episode. So in order to get people feel comfortable for you and just kind of get to know you a little bit, can you talk about why you're a filmmaker? Like, can you talk about why you're in this business?
Yeah, I guess I'm still a kid, and
Uh-huh.
I like to play pretend. And
Uh-huh.
that's all movies are, is playing pretend with a bunch of grown-ups. And it always cracks me up when people are on set and getting heated, which happens, and I've done it, but it's like, guys, we got to chill out. We're just we're marching around, playing guns in the forest or whatever, this is ridiculous. But yeah, it just kind of it's a nice outlet. And when I started doing it seriously, I loved every aspect of it. I mean, being on a crew and just having that everybody has the same kind of mission. And again, we're taking it way too serious. But it's a lot of work, and the camaraderie that you get working on a crew is unlike any other industry I've been in, and I've been in quite a few. And Yeah, I love it. And then the just the whole aspect of getting to create these ridiculous worlds, and being able to go play inside them for however long the shoot is, 4 6 weeks, is, yeah, unlike anything else. So,
That's awesome. Well, outside of the CIA stint, which you can't talk about, what other careers have you been in?
well, I was in sales for a long time. So
Okay.
I did door-to-door sales, selling cable. I sold used cars and new cars. I worked in the restaurant industry for a while. Um, yeah, and that was kind of, working through college. And then when I first was doing, when I was in LA working on film, LA's expensive, man. So I had two jobs. I worked in the restaurants down there, and kind of in some of the more fine dining establishments. And I love that world. I love the restaurant world. For whatever reason, there's something about it. But yeah, making movies is way funner.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm in sales, so kindred spirits here.
Nice.
But yeah, okay, so that's a good point. So you moved to LA, and I want to talk about it in just a moment. But going back a little bit, a few years before that, even, love to learn just a little bit about your kind of cinema history. So, what are some movies you really, like were drawn to early, and some movies that
Yeah.
really let you fall in love with this?
There's a lot of them. I grew up in the 90s, and and we lived in Tucson, Montana, which we could get satellite if, um, we could afford it. And so we could sometimes, but a lot of the time we were just rewatching what we had on VHS.
Okay.
And so I feel like the movies that I love are all, I hate to say it, but like some of them are just terrible movies from the 90s that got destroyed at the box office and didn't do very well, but they were just a lot of fun, So, um, I mean, I do, and we'll probably get into this, but I love Mel Brooks, and
Uh-huh.
we had all those on VHS, and those were ones that you watch, and every time you watch it, those jokes get funnier and
Oh yeah.
funnier. Like, it doesn't lose its touch; it gets better every time you watch it. And then, yeah, my brother obviously had Monty Python. He had a few different ones, Life of Brian and stuff, but we watched
Uh-huh.
Holy Grail like way too many times. And I just love that stuff. But then, like, a lot of the movies we would watch, like Tremors, I've seen
Oh
that
yeah.
movie more times than I can count. Of course, the version we had was recorded off of TV, so it still had commercials, and it was like terribly edited, like to make it PG rated or whatever.
Awesome.
Yeah, but so yeah, just a lot of old movies, 90s movies, some early 2000s movies as well, you know, and I like some new movies, but there was just something special about that era.
Well, Zach, one of the co-hosts on the show, his favorite movie is Tremors. So he's smiling right now
Yeah.
at you saying that. So great connection. Um, okay, so you saw these on VHS, and at some point you're like, man, I want to do this. This is what I want to do. Like this is my life.
hmm
Were you in theater in school, or like was there some kind of connection, or was it just you just knew all along this is?
Honestly, it was always something I was interested in. Like we would
Mhm.
make little kid films and stuff, you know,
Okay.
absolutely ridiculous things, but mostly growing up I wanted to be a rock star.
Oh,
I
okay.
played in bands and stuff, and that was what I was going to do. But then yeah, I met my wife, Zuzu Weingart, and she was just like, I was working at a gas station at the time, and she was just like, "Hey, so you're pretty cool, but you gonna work at that gas station forever?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know, maybe. I haven't really thought about it." And she's just like, "Or you could go to school for something. What would you want to do?" I'm like, I've always wanted to make movies too, but that's not really realistic." And she's like, "Well, my uncle's an editor down in LA. He works for Conan O'Brien." And she's like, "It's a real thing. You can do it." And I was like, "I'll give that a shot." And then been giving it a shot ever since, I
Oh,
guess.
hell yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So anybody that's trying to break into Hollywood, hit up Zuzu's
Yeah.
uncle.
Yeah, he'll love that. Yeah.
We'll leave his address and phone number in the
Yeah.
show notes. No, that's awesome, man. Okay. Well, do you what type of music were you into? I have to ask because I started off with music as well.
Oh yeah. So I listened exclusively to country music
Okay.
until I was in seventh grade,
Uh-huh.
and a buddy of mine showed me Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction, and I was like, "Holy crap! Like this is something else." And then my brother showed me Metallica, and then it was just kind of off to the races at that point. So yeah, all the bands we played in, we did a lot of Metallica covers and um, some other stuff, some newer stuff, but it's all that kind of. I like to call it heavy metal, but that's a very um, hot debated topic. What exactly is heavy metal? You know, because I'm not huge into the screamo stuff, but
Uh-huh.
um,
Uh-huh.
I respect it, but I like to hear I like to understand the lyrics. That's such an old man thing to say, but yeah,
Well, we're getting close to that age now. So,
yeah,
there's a by the way, because I know you love comedy. Have you ever seen a Finnish comedy called Heavy Trip?
no,
All right, I'm gonna recommend you see that.
okay,
It's a satire spoof, similar a little bit. I mean, little bit like Spinal Tap, but
hmm
about Finnish death metal.
oh, nice,
If you're from the metal world at all, I think it's a must see.
yeah. When what's it called?
Heavy Trip,
Heavy Trip. Okay, all
and
right,
the sequel
love
is
it,
called Heavier Trip, I think. But it's
as it
got
should
some,
be. Yeah,
yeah, it's got some great jokes in it. It's a very funny movie,
nice.
very dark,
I'll check it out.
but in
Yeah,
a funny way,
it should be. Yeah, yeah.
as appropriately so.
Finished death.
Um, so what are you watching recently? Like, what are some stuff that you've been kind of? I know I don't. I'm sure you don't have a lot of free time, but what have you been watching
Yeah.
recently?
Well, actually, we've been watching a lot of indie films by people I know.
Okay.
Just kind of trying to support our friends and stuff like that.
Hmm.
We have a buddy, Christian Ackerman, who makes these. He's got a lot. He does a lot of slasher movies and stuff like that. So it's Fast Coast Productions. We just watched Carpenter, his film for Halloween. It was great. We just man rewatched Ghostbusters the other day. Such a good movie. I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
perfection. You know. Um, and then, yeah, and we did just watch Tremors the other day with the kiddos, which my son is 6, covered his eyes a few times, but for the most part, I'm like, this is okay. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, and yeah, I'm getting ready to. I honestly, Tremors is one of my favorite like series of all time. They kind of had a weird out for a little while, but there's Tremors 4 and 5 are actually awesome movies. And yeah, I want to kind of do a watch with that. And then of course Lord of the Rings. We've been rewatching that a ton. The extended editions, got those on DVD. at Goodwill, and
Oh yeah,
yeah, hidden gems. And then actually watching a lot of Seinfeld lately too. Yeah,
nice.
stupid. Yeah.
Uh, Seinfeld or what's the show about the writer? Um,
Oh,
Curb Your
Curb.
Enthusiasm. Seinfeld
Yeah.
or Curb Your Enthusiasm? Which one for you?
See, I go Seinfeld. I have a immense respect for Curb Your Enthusiasm. Um, I just thought Seinfeld balanced it a little bit better and it was a
Right.
little bit more palatable. And man,
So
Curb Your Enthusiasm, sometimes I'm watching it and I'm like, I don't even want to be in the room right now. This is so awkward. And there's some of that in Seinfeld, but Curb, Larry David he's so funny. He's one of the funniest
yeah,
people that
yeah, yeah, yeah,
exist.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I just messaged Zach and he got back to me right away. So he was 4 when he saw Tremors. So 6 is great.
Okay. All right. Good. Good to know. All right.
Yeah, yeah. Luckily he was on his phone.
Okay.
Um,
Good.
but comedy's always been kind of a part of your life, I'm guessing,
Hmm.
right? Just, I mean,
Yeah.
just to call it out, because this is the movie we're going to talk about as our focus today is definitely comedy first, and so I just feel like you've got that in your bones.
Yeah, totally. I don't know. This is kind of random, but when I was in school, the one time, and this is like sounds celebratory, and I don't mean it to, but me and my buddy, my best friend's name was Kyle. So there was the two Kyles, and we'd always sit next to each other in class, and before class would start, me and him would just be talking back and forth, and a lot of the time we were just like feeding off of everybody around us that would kind of just be listening to our conversation, and we would just be cracking everybody up, basically doing, I don't want to say skits because we were just having conversations, that were funny. And gosh, this isn't something I'm proud of because I think clowns are not funny, but I got voted class clown every year in high school that I was there, but I was not a clown. My jokes were well timed out and they were smart, but I did get that every year. So um,
Nice.
wasn't proud of it, but I guess I'm talking about it 15 years later, but whatever.
No, that's awesome. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I mean, and so then obviously as people do, you said, all right, I'm gonna go become a filmmaker. Let's go check out LA. What was the best meal you had in LA, or a meal that you were like something great?
Yeah, there's so many. I worked at this restaurant called the Old Town Junction in Newhall. It's still there.
Okay.
And the chef, which inspired a lot of the film Cuisine de l'Apocalypse, he would have these days where because he'd have a evolving menu. So every the first day we went in there, he's like, all right, I need you guys to be able to sell my food. So I'm going to shut down the restaurant and we're going to try everything. And that was the best meal of my life because we're eating like
Really?
the short rib. He was, he had a ribeye on the menu in New York, and they were all so different. And it wasn't just like a steakhouse where you order a steak and it tastes like steak. Each the New York came with a chimichurri and it had roasted carrots on the side, where the ribeye, I want to say, came with like a roasted potato. And anyways,
Yeah,
they were just from the ground up built to be um, specific to, that cut of meat. And anyways, those days where he would just let us eat everything were the best days. And then we got to try the cocktails too. So yeah, best meal was my 8-hour meal of trying everything in the restaurant.
that's awesome. And good to know it didn't turn out like what's that movie called? The Menu from last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah, yeah.
And it didn't. You're still here, so it didn't
I'm
turn out that
still
way.
here. Yeah, I don't think he would do a s'mores dessert.
Good,
He's classier than that.
good, good. Cool. And then how was LA for you overall? Like, I guess you're not there now, so kind of
Mhm.
mixed or
It was great. It was kind of mixed, There's some of the best people I've ever met in my life were from LA. But we moved down there and we had two kids when we moved down there. And then when we were down there, we had my son Luke. And it's just so expensive. And as soon as we had him, we started kind of feeling like we should move back.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and my parents, they're not like super old, but my dad had some health issues with his eyes and kind of lost a lot of his vision. So we were kind of thinking that we should go. We were talking about it. And then one day my wife was visiting her dad in Maine, and I called her and I was just like, I feel like we need to do this. We need to move home. And she was like, that's crazy. I was just thinking the same thing. And we were back home within a month.
Oh wow.
And then 2 weeks later, COVID happened and the whole everything shut down. So it was a big, a blessing because we had acreage, we were in Montana where there
COVID
was
never hit Montana.
it kind of didn't. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
Missoula it did a little bit, but like we would go out to like our hometowns, which were podunk little places, and it didn't exist out there. They didn't change anything. So it was kind of nice to be able to, when everybody else, all my friends in LA were locked in their houses, I was like, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna go to the diner, and they're like, oh, you know, you can do that, like, and you know, yeah,
That's
it was
awesome.
pretty sweet.
And from that, when did 99 production start?
We started as soon as we got back. We were like, okay,
Okay.
we're gonna start this local production company to do commercials and stuff like that. And then yeah, we did a couple videos for a few folks, and then yeah, COVID hit, and we're trying to like, how do we this is a terrible time to start a company like this.
For sure.
But we kind of persevered, I guess, and tailored some of our commercials and stuff to that, because it was important for a lot of businesses during that time to kind of do their online storefront, so we just kind of pitched it. Well, we were talking, we both done sales, how do we
Right.
pivot this and to make it make sense for you? So
Sure.
it's like, well, they can't come to your storefront, so show them your online storefront. And yeah, we did okay. We survived, and then started making movies.
Oh yeah. And that's a good segue into what we're going to be talking about today. But I thought I would leave it up to you. So, as we were kind of talking about beforehand, the typical structure of the show is that each somebody gets to pick three movies that we all discuss every week. So I asked you to pick three, and would you like to introduce the movies you chose and kind of talk about the impact on their life, on your life?
Yeah. Um, well, so it's three movies.
Two
Two
plus the Hatcher
plus the
Wing.
one. Okay, gotcha. I was like,
Yeah.
because I got a third one I could say. Yeah, I chose Spaceballs, Mel Brooks, and then Monty Python's and Holy Grail as the two movies that really tonally is what we were going for with Cuisine de Apocalypse, um, where it's just the most ridiculous thing you could think of, and we knew we had the take when we're like, wow, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. We got it. Let's move on,
Uh-huh.
So, um, but yeah, so your question was, what do you want to talk about first?
Well, yeah, do you want to kind of, I guess, introduce the like, these movies are important to you,
Yeah,
and then whichever you want to talk about first, then we'll
sure.
jump
Well,
into it.
we
Yeah.
can talk about Spaceballs, I guess,
Oh yeah.
I freaking love that movie, and just the idea that uh it's so familiar, obviously, in a lot of ways, but they take all the familiar things that we love and make them the dumbest thing you've ever seen, and you can't help but laugh about them. And it's
Hmm.
very self-aware as well.
Yep.
Obviously, they know what they're doing. They're not trying to take themselves too seriously, but you still like fall in love with these characters. I mean, like Lone Star. I mean, gosh, Bill Pullman, excellent casting. I'm such a
Oh
Bill
yeah.
Pullman fan,
Oh yeah.
and and they're making a second one now too. But yeah, I've actually I did get to work on a movie with Bill Pullman,
Oh wow.
a little, but we never were on set at the same time, which was unfortunate. But yeah, and then you get Rick Moranis thrown in there, which he's obviously perfect.
Hmm.
And there's we watched Spaceballs with the kids not too long ago, and it's so funny because as a kid, I didn't get half the movie.
Sure.
There's a lot of innuendos and stuff like that. Um, but as an adult, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what's going on here. Um, and yeah, I'm like, gosh, should I fast forward through this part, or the kid's not even gonna get it? They probably won't get it,
Yeah, they probably won't get it.
yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah.
We have, so one of the things we do, there's a master list. It's called They Shoot Pictures, don't they? And
Hmm.
it's this beautiful gentleman in Australia has put this thing together. There's over 13,000 filmmakers and critics and writers, where he's compiled their top 10 list, and
Hmm.
he's ranked. He's trying to make an objective measure of the best films of all time.
Mm.
And I'm always been mad at this list for Spaceballs because I just did a quick check on the list and it's 12,088, which
Wow.
just not that's not fair.
It's
Uh,
not fair. Yeah.
it's a much better
Because
movie than that.
it is, because I feel like again, it's for what it is. Like, yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous, but it is the top tier of ridiculous that there is. I mean, even the special effects are so bad, but that's so much part of the charm. I mean,
Oh
like
yeah,
when they make space tracks at that one point, they look so bad, but like that's the point, you know.
sure.
But I mean, maybe that's just me saying it now, but yeah.
No, I think, but I did a Mel Brooks is one of my favorite comedians. I think the first like 10-ish minutes of the producers is some of the funniest stuff that's ever been written. I
Hmm.
just absolutely blows me away. Like I can't even imagine coming up with that, let alone pulling off the insanity and just the back and forth and everything, the timing. Um, Spaceballs is like in this weird space for me because if you look at like Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein, those are take away the comedy, those are good movies. Like they're just
Hmm.
the production is so perfect on everything, and like there's some scenes in Blazing Saddles that are just beautiful Western shots,
Yeah.
regardless, you know. So, and then I think Young Frankenstein is actually like legitimately, it's a perfect monster movie.
It is. It is. Yeah. Young Frankenstein. It's always hard for me when people ask me what my favorite Mel Brooks movie is because, gosh, Young Frankenstein holds such a special place in my heart because, I mean, the comedy in it is so good. And
Mhm.
when my two favorite parts in that movie are when he's like, werewolf, and he's like, there, wolf.
Yeah,
There, and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
so
yeah.
dumb, so dumb. It's just a lot of dad jokes, honestly.
Yes,
But
it like he to me he's a bridge between vaudeville and like modern comedy
mhm.
because he's still like that's the thing I love about him so much is he's still a fan of movies and like he still knows all the classic comedies and like literally made something called Silent Movie, right? Like he's keenly aware of where he's coming from, like his heritage, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's why even something like Robin Hood Men in Tights works for me because like I think he got progressively. I'm assuming his budgets got smaller. I actually don't know that detail, but
Hmm.
the production got progressively worse. I think as his career went on, but the
Hmm.
comedy's still tight.
Yeah.
And to me, like I think Spaceballs kind of fits in that category where the production's starting to slip a little bit,
Hmm.
but it's perfect. Like he
Yeah.
understands Star Wars and what works about Star Wars perfectly.
And then pokes fun at what doesn't work with,
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of at
yeah,
the
yeah,
same
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Uh, yeah. And then his cameos in all his movies are so perfect, because he
Sure.
plays out. It's always like that one character who it's like, no, I'm trying to picture in Young Frankenstein what his cameo was, and it's escaping me. Was he in that?
I
I think
don't
so.
remember off the top of my
Yeah.
head. I guess it's
But
maybe not as.
yeah. Yogurt and Spaceballs, obviously.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course.
But
I think no. He's a. Let's see. He's a wolf in the opening scene.
oh, okay.
And then I guess he has a small voice appearance. I just did a quick thank you
Yeah,
Google
yeah,
search for the quick response, but nothing
yeah,
as prominent as yogurt.
yeah, yeah, sure. But he gets his cast is always so top notch,
Oh, sure.
Um, and it's probably one of those things, and I don't know, this is just me guessing, but how could you not want to be in one of those worlds? So it's just like, yeah, I'll do it. You'll get Gene Hackman, and I guess I don't know where Gene Hackman's career was when they made Young Frankenstein, but yeah, you get Bill Pullman, you get Rick Moranis in Spaceballs. It's like, oh, and then John Candy, which obviously
Yep,
gold
yep.
standard man right there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
No, I think a lot of it, Madeline Kahn and Terry Garr, kind of like they're these like glues to a lot of his movies because they always steal the scenes there, and I think, but
mm,
he just finds I think he finds people that maybe come from an improv background. I don't know, but he finds
mm,
people that really understand like how to present that material in a way that seems natural,
yeah,
which would probably be hard to do because, like you said, it's so ridiculous.
yeah,
But
yeah,
they
keeping a
pull it
straight
off.
face during that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It'd be fun to see the outtakes from that shoot. I imagine it's twice as long as the movie.
Oh yeah, seriously.
Uh, so I first saw Spaceballs when I was, gosh, yeah, that's probably the first one I've seen because I think I
Hmm.
saw Monty Python a little bit later, although that was also a big part of my childhood. but I think I
Mhm.
saw Spaceballs first because that's like you said, it's a lot of dad jokes. That was one of my dad's favorite directors, and I knew the name Mel Brooks, which is probably one of the first directors' names that I knew as well.
Yeah, I would say probably me too. Yeah. I remember hearing my brother tell me about Spaceballs that I because we were such big Star Wars fans,
Okay, sure.
Actually, so George Lucas was probably
Okay.
and he didn't direct them all, um but yeah, I know he was telling me about it forever that I had to see it, I had to see it, and then I bought it and I want to say it was on VHS. It might have been DVD, honestly. And then I owned it and just watched the crap out of it. Kind of over and over again. Gosh, so that might have been when DVDs even came out. But yeah, I remember it was at Target is where I got it anyways. And it was just like I'd seen Young Frankenstein and I didn't connect that they were the same director, and then kind of fell in love with that movie too, and then watched Blazing Saddles and
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then it was off to the races. I'm like, this is just too much. And he I'm sure he's like pushes the limits on what's socially acceptable at the time. I mean, his movies, so many of them could not be made now, but like even at the time, I'm sure they were kind of pushing it a little bit. But I don't know. That's kind of in a lot of ways, I feel like comedy, when there's something to it when you're like, did they really just say that?
Right. Oh
Which
yeah,
makes it
for sure.
even funnier.
Which
Um,
is a great something Lando does really well. We'll get to that in just a moment.
okay, yeah.
But I think that's a good tie-in to some of it feels well. I have a lot of questions about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that shows up in Cuisine as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and even more so, yeah, there was we were trying a lot of different things actually. But yeah.
Awesome. So then also comedy, but really a completely different style of comedy altogether is Monty Python.
Hmm.
And so I guess do you want to introduce what Holy Grail means to you?
Yeah, so as far as like storytelling is where I really drew from Spaceballs and just Mel Brooks, the
Hmm.
tone. But as far as like the production standpoint is where I fell in love with Monty Python, obviously from the ridiculous horses bit, where they don't actually have horses and they're just,
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Uh-huh.
they open the movie with that, and it just sets the tone for the rest of the film. But we had a great budget for what I was used to, but for Cuisine anyways, we were trying to make 10 to 15 times the movie we had the money for. And that's where, yeah, Monty Python inspired me so much because they make those kind of budget inadequacies, if that's the right
Uh-huh.
word.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And they make it part of the story and kind of give it some charm.
Oh yeah.
Uh, like the Black Knight, when he's getting all his limbs chopped off, it looks ridiculous. But also, like, I was able to watch that with my kids because it's like it's so fake and so ridiculous. And you just lean into it, and also just the aspect um, of just like taking a joke, and this doesn't work with every joke, but making the joke and then making it again
Yeah, yeah,
and then
yeah, yeah,
making it again and then
yeah.
making it again. And it does, some jokes do work very well where they get funnier and funnier with each add-on. I mean, you can take it too far, but he always rides that line and ends it right at the perfect time.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I think Monty Python comedy, it ages the best for me in terms of being able to watch it 100 times because depending on the mood you go in watching it, you'll find different jokes funny.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
sometimes I hate the nights who say knee, and sometimes I'm in the mood to laugh at that.
Dude, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And like them just wanting to make a shrub, or wanting a
Yeah, yeah,
shrubbery.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But no, I feel you. There's a lot of that. Like as a kid, gosh, I can't remember the night now, but the one who goes into um the castle with all the chicks, and
Uh-huh,
he's like, "Oh, I
uh-huh,
guess I can stay a bit longer." As a kid, it just went right over my head. But then, as an adult, I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, I don't know. That kind
uh-huh.
of shit just kind of hits a
Yeah,
little harder. Yeah.
absolutely. I saw Monty Python pretty early. Definitely too early to get the jokes.
Yeah.
But I think the thing so just that same list, it's insane to objectively rank movies, of course.
Hmm.
but we kind of tongue in cheek say that there's an objective ranking of movies out there, just because I mean the guy is trying to make a fair go of it. So this one is 877 out of, so top 1,000, number 877 of all time.
Well, I mean, that's higher than Spaceballs, I guess,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
but still, I think it deserves to be higher.
yeah.
Like, gosh, and just the Bring Out Your Dead,
Oh yeah,
that whole, and then he's like, uh, I'm still alive, or I ain't dead. And he's like, yeah, you're gonna be dead any second now, or whatever. I'm
exactly,
butchering the line,
exactly,
I know, but
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
No, I
uh,
think that there's the funny thing is if you watch Monty Python and then you go to film school and you watch who's the Teorema guy, the solo guy, Pasolini's movies, Pier Paolo Pasolini. Like he's shooting the same way that Monty Python is shooting. So it's crazy. Like they're actually, they're all kind of working around the same time. So they're using similar cameras and similar techniques. And as I've seen just more movies over the years, I'm realizing that there were also skilled technicians and they were kind of, and I think we're not talking about Life of Brian today, but the thing that's so crazy to me about Life of Brian is that they know the Bible so well.
mhm.
Like that movie, if you take away some of the parts that are heretical, like they understand the Bible probably better than 90% of Christians.
Mhm.
And that's where the
Seriously,
comedy comes from,
yeah,
right?
100%, yeah, yeah.
And
I
like for Holy Grail, it works well with the history side. Like they know
Yeah,
the history so well.
yeah. My mom hated Life of Brian. She wouldn't let us watch that. I mean, we totally watched it, but
Yeah.
yeah, she hated that movie. But it was excellent as well. But yeah, you know, uh, I know one of the big things we took from Monty Python, or the Holy Grail, is all those we didn't have the budget to show a lot of this apocalypse destruction and stuff. And we wanted these transition scenes. And when I was first coming up with it, I'm like, oh, I want to do what Holy Grail did, and just give these cheap cartoons that kind of tie it all together and to kind of give us some connecting pieces to show what we don't have the budget to build.
Yeah.
And then a friend of mine was just like, well, dude, your movie's kind of like a video game, which it absolutely is. We always were talking about that. Like, this is like a video game almost,
Uh-huh,
kind of
uh-huh.
adventure. He's like, what if you did video game transitions? And I was like, dude, yeah, we're doing video game transitions. So I'd say the biggest thing that made it into, this my film from Holy Grail was those cutscenes, those, and yeah, that kind of stuff.
Well, that's the perfect transition into your movie.
Cool.
So yeah, well done. The title is Cuisine de l'Apocalypse.
Hmm.
When did it actually open up this year?
October 16th, I want to say, is when we got on Prime.
Oh wow.
So
So
yeah,
it's
yeah. We did a small theatrical run, starting, I guess, in uh, May or
okay.
March. It was March. And we kind of brought it around Montana and stuff,
Hmm.
just kind of the hometown crew. And we had a blast with it. And I was at pretty much every screening at least one time because we'd open it up with like a Q&A.
Uh-huh.
And it was the most nerve-wracking thing in my life to sit there and be like, are they going to get it? And it's so funny. Some of the jokes that I love and that they'd crack me up so much, it's crickets. Nobody's laughing. I'm like, like me and the actor who plays Chef John have this one that when we were shooting it, it just was killing us so much. And then nobody ever laughs at it in the theater. And it drives us insane. But then there's other jokes that I didn't think I was just like, I didn't think we're that funny. We just, whatever. We just needed something to throw in there. And then the audience dies laughing at it. And I'm like, but that's comedy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Very
absolutely.
subjective. Yeah.
Yeah, and the benefit of something like stand up is that you get to kind of tweak it and refine it, and
Yeah,
but for a movie, you like when it's done, right? You
it
just kind
is. It is. But yeah, that joke that nobody laughs at, it's never going anywhere. That's just for me, I guess. And that's fine.
it's like tell me where it is and I'll send you a video of me laughing at it if
Okay,
that helps.
perfect.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that'll
Yeah.
make it
Yeah.
feel better.
Yeah.
I mean, I in my mind, and I want to, this is always a dangerous thing to do to the creator of something of art, but in my mind, what Cuisine de l'Apocalypse is about, it's at the core, it's a pretty wholesome story.
Hmm.
It is an absurdist comedy, and we're going to get into all that, and like it does really go for a lot of experimental comedy, which I love, and like yeah, it's got a lot we can dig into there. But
Mhm.
I really like that there's something in it that's similar to me to the heart of why I think Everything Everywhere All at Once worked.
Yeah.
Whereas like no matter what's going on, it's kind of tethered to this like heart.
Yeah.
And that's a nice piece of writing because you know, I think you need that emotional tether in any comedy, especially,
Mhm.
or you need something there that kind of like pull you back down and not have everything just be crazy. I guess the only movie where that works without any tether at all is Super Troopers, because that's just it's kind of like a unique thing.
Yeah. I love Super Troopers.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but most comedies, most good comedies that have legs, I think, have that tether, and I think you do a good job of that.
Thank you. Yeah.
So can you walk us through kind of the structure of the world and the story, and then we'll get into all of the
Yeah.
tangents. But
So it's an apocalyptic comedy, as I like to call it, about
uh-huh,
following your dreams no matter what.
uh-huh,
And this no matter what is every apocalyptic scenario that you can think of. And we open the movie that like that, where the voiceover is everyone had a different theory about how the apocalypse would happen, and in the end, everyone was right.
uh-huh,
And we wanted to open with that so that way man, we had free reign, especially in the writing process. It was like, what do we need here? What's going to be the best thing? Well, we have so much to pull from. We had talked about like dinosaurs being in it at one point, Bigfoot. Yeah, and Bigfoot gets mentioned, but yeah. Um, and then at the end of the day, it's about following your dreams, though, no
mhm,
matter what. And that was something that every character um, is doing, and like by the end of the movie has done, everybody has different dreams. Some of them really wacky, like a cooking show, and some of them as grounded as protecting your family and giving them a safe place, because everybody does have different dreams and big or small, they're all important.
Even when it seems like everything's falling apart around you.
Yeah.
It is the idea of making an apocalyptic comedy to be a metaphor for what we're going through right now, or not necessarily.
No, it was just what I wanted to do. I
Fair
guess,
enough. Fair enough.
there was it's interesting because I've been writing the story for since 2017, like in
Oh,
different
okay.
fashions. So we made a proof of concept a long time ago with the same actors that are in the feature film, and we made that in 2017, and it was all about this 2-week quarantine because of a disease.
Right.
And we were like, oh, that's so funny that, and I remember sitting on set talking like, oh, that would never happen. And then it did happen. And then when we were coming up with this idea for the feature, AI was kind of like starting to come out, but it wasn't, I mean, I just took inspiration from Terminator 2,
Sure,
but
sure.
it's becoming more and more relevant as we go forward, where,
Yeah.
yeah, AI is a great tool, but how far is it going to go? We've seen a lot of movies where it's not exactly a good thing, and it's just maybe this is because I was lazy, but AI is just an easy villain as well.
Sure.
Yeah,
It's very easy to put evil on top of that technology that feels difficult to understand and has the potential to do harm.
yeah, and taking my job from me, yeah, all
Right,
those
right,
things. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And as you were casting this movie, you got so Chef John is played by a guy named Kevin Jack, who he's a like perfect casting for this because I think in order for him to work, he's sort of like the emotional core of the movie, right? And
Yeah,
I think in order for him to work, you need to believe that he really wants to like heal the world through cooking,
yeah, yeah,
and he pulls
100%.
it
Yeah,
off.
yeah, no, and he's just a little boy.
Yes,
That's
yeah,
something we always talked about. He's just a little boy at heart, and so like there's that moment in the movie uh where one of the heroes perishes, and he was the only one with permission to cry. And that's because it's just like, dude, you are a little boy, and the little boy in us all would be crying right now.
right.
And because I'm really big on not letting people cry on screen. It's a whole from a production standpoint, it's a nightmare, but also it's hard to pull off, I feel like. And yeah, when we were shooting it, he wasn't supposed to cry, but then we played the song for him, and we were probably 3 weeks into filming at the time, and we'd all become so close. And we were good friends with him before, but he just kind of started going for it, and I was just like, you know, keep rolling, and then I was
Yeah.
like, that's the take, because he was just, um, yeah, he was great.
Uh, he's convincing. He's
Mhm.
earnest. Let me say it that way. Like he's playing the role with earnest and sincerity, and
Mhm.
seems like I mean, he's a good actor, so that helps too.
Yeah,
Like
no, and
he,
he terrible cook in real life, but yeah. um, After the first week of filming, my editor was editing alongside us, and he's like, "Hey, just I want to say, I know it's not my place, but is Kevin taking it a little too far? Like, I don't know if we're gonna." And I'm like, "No, that's what he's got to do. He's Gilligan from Gilligan's Island.
oh
He
yeah,
had,
good.
he's got to keep it. He's got to believe everything he's doing." And he lives in this crazy world, and he believes in it more than anybody else,
Yeah.
and then after the next week, he's like, dude, I get it. I get it. He's like, Kevin is so good. And then he just fell in love with him, and fell in love with the movie. So yeah.
But I think, and I want to get into all the other characters, of course, and
Yeah.
actors. But I think just on that point for a second, I think what I liked about his role in this is that it became very easy to extrapolate. Okay, fine, for him it's cooking, but for other people it could be anything. And I
Mhm.
think there's something in the movie that is very true for COVID, which is funny that you started 5 years earlier or 4 years earlier.
Yeah.
Well, three, anyways.
Yeah.
But in that, people really sought solace in escaping this thing that they couldn't control, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And that was kind of in a weird way, like prophetic almost, because that's what happened, right? People turned into
Yeah.
hobbies. All of a sudden, everybody became interested in having houseplants or whatever it was. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Everybody turned into my mom,
yeah,
but yeah, and that was something we came up with before COVID, but it just, yeah, it's funny to see that little kind of it come to fruition in front of us. And that's kind of when we filmed this about a year after COVID had happened. And but as we were like developing, we're like, now's the time. Now's the time.
mm-hmm.
We got to do it. And like during COVID, there was people were putting up Christmas lights, even when it wasn't Christmas, just because.
Sure.
And so that was actually something I stole from COVID, where I was like talking with the production designer. I'm like, light this whole town with Christmas lights, and then I
Uh-huh.
wrote in the whole Christmas light as the power source kind of thing too. But yeah,
Okay. Well, and then going beyond just just chef, there's I want to get to Zuzu in just a second, but
yeah.
you went out and got two pretty well-known actors for this. So Kevin Sorbo and Natasha Leggero.
Mhm.
Can you just talk at all about kind of how they got involved and
Yeah. So I had written, I for the past, like, before we did this, it'd been like 5 years where I'd kept meeting people and I grew up on Hercules. Like, me and my brothers watched the hell out of that show. And Xena, of course. But
sure, sure.
and then I kept meeting people who was like, if you ever want to work with Kevin Sorbo, and you got something together, talk to me about him. And then, so he'd always been kind of in the back of my mind. And then I wrote this role of Officer Joe, actually, for a guy who was a cop who's named Joe, and he was going to play the part. And then one of our producers, somebody who I had never heard mention the name Kevin Sorbo before, was like, Kevin Sorbo would be a good role. And I have his email. And I was just like, that's feeling like that. I don't know. It was
Yeah,
feeling
yeah,
like
yeah.
a sign. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I talked to Joe, and I was just like, hey, man, how would you feel about your role being given to somebody like Kevin Sorbo? And he was just like, if you can get Kevin Sorbo, yeah, I would gladly step aside. And then so it's
sure,
like,
sure.
yeah, it's like, Eden, send the email. And then he got back to us and was super into it. And
Oh, cool.
yeah, so that's how we got him. He was a blast. He was so much fun. And then Natasha, we were actually 2 weeks into production before she got cast. We had a local casting choice, but then we were really wanting one more name, to kind of put on the docket, and we knew Sweet Melissa was the role for, to bring somebody in.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, and then I didn't think she was a possibility, but apparently it ended. I remember getting the text, Natasha's in, and I'm just like, no way. Like, and then
Whoa.
yeah, and then like there was so many people who all of the cast are big, comedy fans. and watch a lot of stand up and stuff. And so everybody knew, who she was and was really excited to have her out. And Kevin Jack, he was just like, oh, I don't know if he likes me telling the story, but I like telling it. But he was just like, dude, I've always kind of had a crush on
There
Natasha,
we go. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm just like, oh, that's awesome. And then he's just like, don't, we have our first scene together. I don't want to meet her, And so
Oh, like he wants it to be the first time they.
yeah, so when she busted open
Okay.
that door, all his reactions are genuine. He was genuinely starstruck and didn't know
That's
how to
awesome.
act. Yeah,
That's awesome.
which made it real fun.
And even I didn't mention this and I meant to. I have it in my notes, but even Emilio Rivera
Yeah,
is I mean he's like a over 100. I mean he's in everything.
he's huge. Yeah, no, he was another one where I was just like, because I watched a lot of Sons of Anarchy,
Hmm.
and I was just immediately like, oh, dude, if we can get that guy, I love Emilio, and he came out and he was a badass. He just he was so nice, But once the cameras were rolling, he was the leader of the Mayans, and
Okay.
he was intense and yeah, he a lot of I feel like good acting comes through good scene partners. And so when he was on there, he would even tell the actors that he didn't know, like Kevin Jack and Neela Butler, he's just like, dude, you guys are great, and we're feeding off of each other. And he was just he was such a gentleman too, because when he rapped, there was so many people excited to meet him because we're small town Montana, so these guys, everybody that's on set is like most of the crew was professional crew, but all like the background and stuff had never really worked on something like this. And they all were signing so much stuff for all their fans.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
there was a lot of love for him. Yeah, my brother at one point shows up on set and he had the Hercules box set DVD. And he's like, dude. And I'm like, I know what you're gonna ask. And I'm like, I don't want to do it, dude. And he's just like, well, that's okay. You don't have to. And then he left but he left it on the table sitting there. And then I was standing there with Kevin. I'm like, Kevin, you wouldn't mind. My brother's a huge fan. He's like, oh, I'd be honored. And he signed it. And he like, him holding it, he was just like, man, this is a huge chunk of my life right here. And
Yeah,
he
seriously.
was, they were all so great. And it was a little intimidating, honestly, having all these people out. And I've directed things before, but never with name talent. And I've worked with name talent in other
Hmm.
fashions,
Hmm.
but to be the one kind of in charge of yes or no, it was pretty intimidating. And I don't know um, how they thought about it, but they seemed to be very respectful of my vision. So
So this is why, and maybe if you're okay with this quick detour, then we can get right
yeah.
back to the film. But this is why. So one of the things I love is regional filmmaking or shot on video films. You get a lot of these people that like a Bill Rebane type or an H.G. Lewis type that they kind of stayed in a state or a region,
Hmm.
and their films may if they had theatrical releases, they were like two theaters.
Hmm.
Uh, and but I love the story of these independent filmmakers because typically either these characters, these personalities themselves, or the people that worked on these films, somebody continued to kind of gain confidence and gain skill and gain connections and everything, and then all of a sudden they were in Hollywood, right, or in New
Hmm.
York sometimes as well, which is kind of the sister city, right? But like I love this part of the independent film journey
Yeah.
of like, okay, now, but see, because in your mind, this is very similar to like a startup, right? Like
Hmm.
in your mind, okay, now you can go get people like Natasha, or you can go get people like Emilio. So then it doesn't feel as scary the next time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think just, again, it was such a good, solid three people that it was just the perfect people to work with because they were so um accepting and like riffing on stuff, like I remember one day figuring out the blocking with Natasha when she was walking back and forth, and we were dealing with so many other problems. And she's just like, "Hey, can we work through this?" And then I'm like having that moment where we're working through it, and I'm just like in my head, I'm like getting distracted. I'm like, "You're working this out with Natasha Leggero right now. That's pretty cool, man. You're
Yeah, yeah,
doing
yeah,
good,
yeah,
And then I'm like, "Stop it, stop it. We're working here, Kyle."
yeah.
And then one of my favorite moments on set was with Sorbo, and he says the line, let's go Hercules on these iRobot
Yes,
wannabes.
yes,
That
yes,
wasn't
yes.
even scripted, that was it was a different line and we'd got it and Kevin was just like, all right, can I give you some variations and stuff? And we got it in one take, but we had Hercules on set. So I was like,
Of course.
yeah, let's do another one. And he's just like, what do these robots even look like? And I was like, well, we're still working with some options, but they're going to be kind of like iRobot, And then he's like, oh, okay. And then he gave us the line, let's go Hercules on these iRobot wannabes. And I
I
was just
love it.
like, there it is. Yeah, no, I think we did a few more, but I knew when he said that, I'm like, okay, great.
That
Because
one's
I
going
that one's
in.
going in, yeah. Because then that's the return of Hercules, which I don't know. As far as Hercules go, there's been other ones, but I don't think Kevin Sorbo is still Hercules. I mean,
Yeah.
he had a long tenure of that.
Yeah. Yeah. He pulls it off. Actually, here's this probably the most important question I could ask you today. Is Cuisine de l'Apocalypse now canon inside the Hercules universe?
Yes, I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah.
In the future,
Yeah. Right.
yeah, I think there's a way we can work that in. We really want to do a sequel someday, or possibly a TV show with it.
Yeah.
And I've always been like, dude, if we could get Xena, to come in and have them like kick some ass
Oh,
together, like, oh, that would make the '90s kid in me, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But we'll
Well,
see.
but that's a good, that's perfect. You're really helping me with these transitions today. So this is the thing, another thing that I like about the movie. So this is like a dream for kids that grew up kind of, maybe born in the 80s or had some level of awareness of life in the 90s, because you've got the video game transitions, you've got a ton of pop culture references, you've got characters like Zorbo in there. But this was all very intentional, right?
Yeah, so we just wanted to make a movie that felt like it should have been released in the '90s, because that was the funnest time of films because you had original films, original characters, and it was just a big old how do these guys see it through.
Yeah.
And then it also like I just remember being in the '90s, the Halloween costumes that people would dress up on Halloween. There was always, this guy from this movie, this guy from this movie. And today, um, like my daughter dressed up as Ghostface from Scream. She's never seen Scream, but it's like
Yeah.
there's such a lack of good characters that people can dress up for as Halloween. And the '90s was like, we're still dressing up as all those characters. I mean, you see
True.
Ghostbusters every year, Karate Kids. I mean, I guess
True.
those were '80s, but and that's what I dressed up as. But
No,
yeah,
but
so
I talk about unironically or without joking. I say that 1989 is my favorite year in cinema. And
mhm,
people always kind of scoff at that because clearly it's 1999 or it's 67 or whatever.
yeah,
But I'm like, no, 89 was the year where all bets were off and you could be as creative as possible and you could just, the wackiest shit came out in
yeah,
1989. And like, I love that.
yeah. And it is. They're all completely original, and people were taking chances.
Yeah.
And I get it. I don't dislike new movies or anything, but and this has been said for a long time. There is just a lot of reboots and
Hmm.
remakes and stuff,
Hmm.
and it's
Hmm.
just like I mean, and I love Spider-Man, and I like all of them. I like all three of the Spider-Mans, but like we're in a world where we've seen Spider-Man so many times that like, yeah, on Halloween you're like, well, which Spider-Man are you? Well, you got to look at the Spider-Man logo to decide, and it's like, give me a break, you know. Uh, yeah, and Batman's the same way, and I love those movies. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's just we've seen them so many times, and I do like seeing the new iterations, but
So if you get a call from Marvel Studios, which character are you making then? Are you making Spider-Man?
gosh, I don't know. I think I relate the most to James Gunn with the Guardians of the Galaxy. But maybe that's just because I like Chris Pratt. But if I was to get a call from them, I'd be like, well, you guys are connected with Disney, right? And Disney owns LucasArts, right? Okay, so I want to make
Okay.
Zombies Ate My Neighbors. How about that?
Oh, nice.
Because they need to do that. I don't know if they ever will, but that's an IP that deserves a movie that would be so much fun. But it never
Oh
will.
yeah.
But
There's a character, and speaking of James Gunn and that some of the better movies in that universe, there's another guy, Taika Waititi. He has a
Mhm.
character in the later Thor movies named Korg,
Oh yeah,
and the character Lando in Cuisine kind of reminded me of him a little bit, where he doesn't. I mean, although he does have his moment where he gets a song in, which is nice, but he has his little moments, but most of his dialogue is unexpected and funny and kind of hits you. It kind of breaks up the scenes in a nice way.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because so I wrote Lando's lines, obviously, but that's not what made it into the movie. Most of it was Nilo Butler just riffing. Cause so he would he was the one that every we'd get the sides for the day and he would just come to me with notes upon notes on stuff. And at first it was a little daunting. I'm like, oh yeah, just say what's on the page. But I knew I've known him for a long time and how funny he was. And so some of those like 80% of his like best lines are ones that he's like, dude, can I say this instead? And I'm just like,
Sure.
yeah, yeah, okay. And yeah, he's just so naturally funny that like there's that one moment they're walking through the haunted forest and he's like, so I sit down to tell Stallone, whatever, and he's like, I don't care what your nana says, that is not lasagna. It's
Right.
like what? Anyways, I don't even remember what was in the script. But he said a different one in every take, just some random pop culture, like he's famous and he did all these things back in the day, and they were
Yeah.
just all so good. And so anytime, yeah, it was always, well, what's the best Lando take, and that's usually what made it into the movie because he was just always throwing such good stuff at us.
That's awesome. Well, I purposely saved Zuzu for last because you have a personal connection with her, anyways. Zuzu Weingart is somebody who's been she has her SAG card. She's an actor in Hollywood system, and decided to leave LA with you for from Montana. And so, how has that transition been for her as well? Because she has a great role in this movie and
Mhm.
probably has the most like emotionally resonant role, right? As opposed to just
Yeah.
comedy.
Yeah, and so that was always pretty purposeful. Like I knew there needed to be one character that was kind of from the audience's perspective, like somebody who calls out all the bullshit, and
Uh-huh.
so I gave that to my wife.
Uh-huh.
But no, she was integral from the beginning in even writing the script. Like um I would bounce every idea off her, and but yeah, I always wanted to have like as another big thing from the 90s, strong female characters that were like badasses, but that could not be swapped out for anything else. Like Sigourney Weaver in Aliens.
Sure.
Her whole she's a mom. Like that is and so at the end of the end of Aliens, it's two moms facing off
Right.
so badass, and it's just like I feel like that's been lost in female roles these days where it's just like, oh, she's a badass because she's a badass. Well, give her a reason to be a badass. There's a lot of things that make women special. Let's,
Yeah.
and so we played with that a lot. But um, she was doing some acting in LA, but when we moved back here, she's gotten more roles than we had in LA. I mean,
Oh wow, cool.
in LA, you're kind of well, they captured it really good in La La Land, when Emma Stone gives her audition, then she walks out and there's 10 to 20 people that all look exactly like her and deliver it exactly like her.
Mhm.
Now, I truly believe my wife is one of a kind and, all those things, but it's hard to make that known in an audition process when they're seeing 150 people. Some of these people with personal connections to the directors and stuff like that. So yeah, when we moved back, she started doing a lot more acting, getting roles on and she started doing some short films to kind of get into the community here.
Mhm.
But yeah, she gets a lot of roles on a lot of films out here, and
Great.
she was just, yeah, she did such a good job. So proud of her.
I'm just kind of smiling. You don't want to go on record of saying she's one of a thousand.
She's one of a million,
One of
one of a billion, whatever it is. Yeah.
she's
Love you, honey.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, that's awesome. Okay, well that's good to know. I mean, I don't yeah, I don't know too much about the Montana film scene. I know that my parents, even though they're not from Oklahoma, they decided to retire in Oklahoma. And there's surprise like Terrence Malick has made a movie in their hometown, and like there's been all these movies that just because they're pretty close to some indigenous land or
Hmm.
like Native American land
Yeah.
that there's any time there's like this flowers of the what flowers of the moon flowers of the
Killers of the
Killers of the
Flower
Flower Moon.
Moon.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that was all like right around them, right? Because
Yeah.
that's like that's all Oklahoma. So anyways, it's just funny, you never like America's pretty big and you hear about these LA, but there's movies being made everywhere all the time. So
There is, and it's more and more. And like Lily Gladstone from Killers of the Flower Moon's from
Mhm.
Montana, you know.
Oh, okay, there you go.
So I've never actually met her, but she came and talked to our class one time in college, and yeah, she's Oscar nominated now.
Yeah.
She's every movie that gets made in Montana, they're like, well, what about Lily Gladstone? And it's like, yeah, no, she's very talented.
Sure.
But yeah, I there's something about that Anytown USA kind of feeling, that Hollywood just doesn't have anymore.
True.
They
True.
still make great stuff, obviously, but they yeah, I think we all kind of want to go back to that place, in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. And so that's, yeah, we have a few other features planned, and they're all kind of based around this town um, of, our Missoula, because it is like it could be anywhere. I mean, it's beautiful and Montana's so great, but yeah, it's a place that just reminds you of grandma's house. I don't know.
There's a comedy, and I'm gonna fumble this a little bit. I'm gonna make an effort, and maybe you can help me out because I think you'll hopefully you'll know what I'm trying to say. There's some of the comedy in Napoleon Dynamite comes from the fact that it's happening in this expansive, beautiful background. I
Hmm.
think like there's something to me that's just interesting about that world that Jared, whatever his name, can't remember Haas or Hoff maybe.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah, I know what you're
that
talking
something
about.
there's something about that world to me that's very the way he frames it and the way he kind of puts it that's funny and even just sort of in and of itself, like it kind of
Mhm.
creates a lot of room for comedy.
Yeah.
And I think there's a similar vibe in Cuisine. Not that I'm going to necessarily say the two movies are the same, but I think a lot of the comedy works because it's in Montana or because it's in, like, I think you play off the space well,
Hmm.
even though some of it's confined by design.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
It still has that kind of smaller, more rural feel to a lot of it, which I think helps.
Totally. And what cracks me up about a lot of that is, so I'm born and raised here. So the mountains, I'm like, they're mountains.
Okay.
But I've had a lot of people like, oh, that shot was so beautiful. I'm like, really? I'm like, yeah, that was the only sliver of area that didn't have houses in it. And that's why we chose that area. But Montana's so beautiful. And there's, um, a lot here. We don't have a desert here. That was the one problem with shooting Lava Land. There was a gravel pit that we were like, okay, we have to frame it in such a way that it looks like it's a desert, but in no way is it a desert. And yeah, I remember driving by that um, with my editor, and I'm like, oh, there's Lava Land. He's like, that? And I'm like, yeah, it's right there. He's like, so where were you looking? I'm like, dude, we were looking the same place every single time. We just moved the camera a little over here. Um, but that's, creating the world, I guess.
So I've been speaking about this world in a particular way. I like adding gravitas to independent productions because I like that's just kind of the way my brain works. But I do want to call out, speaking of the Lava Land, I do want to at least call out that this is a movie that has robots, it has zombies, it has insane kind of paramilitary groups, including Sorbo's son, who does a nice job.
Yep.
And it has, I think it just like the fun thing for me about watching this is I watch a lot of Italian horror movies and Italian genre films,
Hmm.
exploitation movies, and as the movie and Hong Kong actually as well, they do this as well in a lot of the category three movies, where whatever you think the movie is going to be about in the first 20 minutes, it kind of continues to unpack, and it's not about that, and it's like it gives you a reason to like stay engaged and keep watching because it's like it changes and then it changes again and then it changes again
Yeah, yeah.
and I really like that for what you did with this because it's it rewards the runtime and it rewards the sitting
Mhm.
through it.
Yeah, because we were going for an hour and a half,
Okay.
with a comedy, but we were cutting it down as much as we could, and we just wanted to keep it moving fast, because there's so much stuff going on in the film.
Hmm.
But it totally, it it's one of those films that I wanted it to be like this, and I wasn't sure if it was like this. And then I've been told by a lot of people it gets better every time they watch it because they're like, "Oh, I noticed this now," and "Oh,
Oh yeah.
I didn't get this before." And then there's also like for people from the area, um, even more so because we all these businesses that like closed down in the '90s that are no longer around. are in this film. So it's like an idea where like
Oh,
all your favorite childhood things survive the
yeah, yeah,
apocalypse, you know?
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
there's a Crazy Mike's video stand, which those were kind of regional, but you know, where you rent movies, you know, that you see and things like that. And um, but yeah, it was a lot of fun, but a lot of work too.
It paid off. I mean, it was a really fun movie to watch, and I really appreciate you, kind of making this interview happen here. So, is there anything that I have not asked about that you would want to make sure is included in a discussion of the movie?
Yeah, I guess I always just like to say independent films like this live and die on reviews on Amazon and IMDb.
Okay.
As many of those as we can get gets us closer to making a show out of this or a sequel.
Okay.
And yeah, and honest reviews are great. You know, we like the high ones, but at the end of the day, we will take whatever people really think of the film.
Distraction.
Distraction.
Where is the best place to stream it or access it? You mentioned Amazon Prime.
Yeah, so you can get it on like Google Play and YouTube
Hmm.
TV. You can buy it on there. But I do think the best viewing space right now is Amazon Prime because you can get the HD version. It's like $10, so it's really affordable. And yeah, and to buy it is $10, and you can watch it as many times as you want. Um, Fall in love with Lando, you know, as everybody does, and then Andy the robot, you know,
Hmm.
guy, he does such a good job. I want to say his
Yeah.
name, Miget Matanani, super talented actor to look out for. He's got a few pretty big roles that he's been in recently that are going to be out too. So,
Awesome. Yeah, he has to play three or four characters, and he does them all
gosh,
convincingly. So, or more maybe.
yeah, it was a lot of work. Yeah, it was a lot of work. He did a great job.
Well, if we had another hour, we could get into the editing and how
I'm
was all
sure.
this stuff. But
Yeah.
thank you, for doing
Yeah.
this.
Thanks for having me. This was a blast, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And yeah, like I said, this will be out in a few days as far as when this hits. But otherwise, I'll see you online.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Kyle.
All right. Enjoy your Sunday.
Thank you for listening. To hear more shows from the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, please select the link in the description.
If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror, we'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, you know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.